Hey, what's up guys, Kyoto Sumo here, and today I'm filling in for Sir Ayme with my rendition of The Chat Room by hrhdaf. If you enjoy this and want to hear more, come check me out on my channel where I do this every Thursday in my show Kyo Dubs, which Sir Ayme is now guest starring in an episode of, if you want to hear more of his golden voice, like usual. But without further ado, here's the story. It's been a long time since I spent any time in a chat room. I used to find them quite fun, and there was one in particular that I really enjoyed. It was a chat room for people that loved all things horror, and quite often we did talk about horror films or books, but more often we just talked about anything we liked. There were some really fun people there. There was a real mix of users. Sometimes you get a new user who would appear once and then never be seen again, but there was a core group. I could sign in pretty much any time of day or night, and at least a few of them were about. For me, it was a nice way to wind down at the end of the night out. There were a few of us in the UK, but most users were American, with a couple of Canadians thrown in. I guess one of the things I liked the most about the chat rooms was the anonymity. Yeah, I know in a way that means people can be jerks if they want, but personally, I'm just a pretty private person. I'm not into social media, and I don't want the world to know what I'm doing. I like to choose what I want to share. After about 6 months hanging out there, I'd gotten to know the people pretty well. There was this one guy who went by the name of Happy Harry that I was always particularly pleased to see online. He was as quick as a whip and always made me laugh a lot. I guess in that kind of circumstance, there will always be people you get on with better than others. Nothing made that more obvious than the two users, Pink Aries and Zmox. Chatroom flirting turned into something more serious. Reading between the lines, I guess a lot of Skyping and phone calls went on behind the scenes. Then one night, we were all in the chat room and they announced that they were making it an official thing, and were going to meet up. Zmox was going to make the 3-hour drive to Pink Aries' house, and they were going on a date. The regular users in the chat room were either saying how nice it was for them or typing puking noises. It was all in good humor though, and I think everyone was happy for them. Or at least, I thought so at the time. A couple of days later, I was signed in and chatting to a girl named Shy Sarah. She had an Etsy shop and I'd ordered a custom-made t-shirt off of her. I was mid-telling her it had arrived when another girl called Pokeypants turned up. Pokeypants typed, "Hey guys, have you heard about Pink Aries and Zmox? It's been all over the news here." I typed, "Their date hit the news? That's impressive." Pokeypants typed, "No, seriously, it's horrible. Zmox was found murdered in Pink Aries' house and she's missing." I responded, "Oh my god, that's terrible." Shy Sarah typed, "God, Doodles," which is what she called me for some inexplicable reason. "I've just googled it. It sounds like it was a bloodbath in there." Pokeypants responded, "You don't think Pink Aries did it, do you, SS?" Shy Sarah responded, "I just can't imagine it. We talked all the time. She bought a t-shirt off me not that long ago. She seemed really nice. She seemed so excited to meet him. I can't believe it." At this point, a couple of the other chat room users turned up. By the end of the night, word had gone around and every one of the regulars had put in an appearance. There was much speculation about what might have happened. Then, a new user signed in. Without saying a word, they sent a link. I clicked on it. People were always sending each other silly photos or YouTube links to music. What I saw made me sick to my stomach. It was a photo of a bedroom. The white bed sheets were covered in blood and lying on it was a man. I'd never seen Zmox before, but I knew instantly it was him. He looked almost peaceful, like he could have been sleeping, but the vivid red of the sheets and the slash across his neck said otherwise. Written on the wall behind him, in blood, were the words, "Pink Aries is mine." Instantly, the new user disappeared. The chat room went into meltdown. Pokeypants called the police. That photo could only mean one thing. The murder was connected to the chat room. Pink Aries was clearly not a real name, so whoever murdered Zmox knew her through it. It wasn't long before the police arrived. It was a really strange and surreal night with the police signed into our chat room. There was a weird feeling of helplessness. You think you know people when you talk to them as regularly as we all talked. Suddenly it was so obvious we were all hundreds of miles apart and we actually knew practically nothing about each other. Some people just signed out because they didn't want to get involved. Others passed on email addresses to the police in order to give their real names and addresses, but We already knew how futile that was. The link to the photo was dead. The photo had been deleted, but fortunately, Pokey Pants had the presence of mind to save it so she could give it to the police. The chat room was never the same after that night. Some people just never came back. Of the rest of us that did, there was always an undercurrent of distrust. One of us was a murderer. Apparently the trail went cold. The police had very little to go on. They checked out the chat room users as best they could, but we were all over the world, which made for a very difficult investigation. The one thing we couldn't understand was how the murderer had gotten Pink Harry's address. We were friendly in the chat room, but not stupid, and didn't go giving our personal details out all over the place. I thought about her often. What had happened to her? Was she dead, or did the monster that killed Zemox still have her? This is the last conversation I had in the chat room. I typed, "Hey stranger, not seen you in a while." Happy Harry typed, "Hey Def, no, I've been busy. Got myself a new pet and it's taking some house training. Do you realize it's been 6 months today since Zemox was murdered?" Then I replied, "Really? Feels like yesterday. That was a horrible night. The police never turned anything up, did they? I still have no idea how he even got her address. The only person that ever had addresses was Shy Sarah because of her Etsy shop, and it couldn't have been her. The police said it was definitely a man because of the strength it took to overpower Zemox." Happy Harry replied, "Yeah, I suppose you're right, Doodles." I quickly typed back, "Doodles?" Happy Harry then replied, "Oops, winky face." Then he went offline. Happy Harry, or should I say, Shy Sarah, was never caught. There's a reason I'm so paranoid online now. Anyone can say they're anyone, and I gave my address to a murderer.